Beware of spoilers, you have been warned.
Home Alone double feature. Starting with Home Alone. This movie is so iconic that it established a movie trope within itself. Macaulay Culkin gave such a genius performance. There have been so many good child actors over the years, but there was such a class act for Macaulay that I just don't think many other kids could pull off.
I made my family disappear.
What Macaulay does alone in the house really captures that child spirit. Like, all kids would go crazy like this, being let loose with no adult supervision. Watching Kevin's home alone activities adds an extra layer of nostalgia from just being reminded what being a kid was like, on top of the nostalgia already present just from watching this classic film my whole life. John Williams went to work and got that bread. He doesn't miss, never has, never will. Not only does this soundtrack help elevate comedic and emotional moments, it also has that touch of Christmas spirit, which helps the music give the film the Christmas magic it deserves. I feel like I never have as much appreciation for, I never feel like I have as much appreciation for Harry and Murray the way I should, but the actors really did such a good job with them. Their reactions to all the traps were just comedic gold, and the movie would not have worked the same without them. I never have a lack of Catherine O'Hara. She does so well being the mom on a verge of a psychotic break, but also hits the mark being the mom that loves her son. Catherine and Macaulay only had a few scenes together, but they made the mother-son dynamic so real, so effortlessly, making Catherine's appearance at Macaulay's Walk of Fame induction that much more special over 30 years later.
I said I'm not afraid anymore!
This movie thrives on chaos and ingenuity of Kevin McAllister, but Old Man Marley is the final piece when it comes to putting together a wholesome Christmas tale. He's introduced as the creepy neighbor until Kevin encounters him in the church. It's a don't judge a book by its cover lesson that comes with such an emotional award when Kevin sees Marley reunite with his family at the end of the film. This film has such a balance of comedy, heart, and Christmas, and with Macaulay leading a perfectly written and perfectly executed film, it's no wonder this has become a staple in everyone's Christmas movie marathon. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. More or less the same formula, just in New York City. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Still a classic, it's an acceptable double feature, and Macaulay as Kevin McAllister just doesn't miss. Harry and Murray should be dead. The first traps of the movie were fun to watch, but this time around, these dudes are surviving against all odds. Again, this is just the first movie. It continues the same vibe and same themes with the exact same results. It works, there's just not much to add. Catherine O'Hara appreciation once again, and we will always acknowledge Macaulay giving yet another great performance. I also want to shout out Kieran Culkin as that one cousin. Big small beginnings for the future Oscar and Emmy winning actor. With the rest of the film being so similar to the first, it was all just too easy for Tim Curry to be the highlight of this sequel. Tim always gives 100% even if he's to do like 30. A true legend. The movie was lucky to have him. But yeah, overall good times. Christmas classic, a movie we've enjoyed for years and will enjoy for years to come. Speaking of Christmas classics, let's jump to the star of the week, the King of the North, Pole. Santa, the conductor, the hobo, the dad, probably also some random elf. I'm talking about Tom Hanks.
All aboard!
Tom Hanks had a normal childhood living in the state of California. He was that socially awkward nerd kid in high school that you probably were never friends with. He was active in theater through high school and went to study drama in college. He never finished, though, and became completely immersed within the local theater scene, both as a fan and within productions. Hank started off in comedy as he made his first screen debuts. He was a lead in Bosom Buddies for a couple of seasons it aired. His first big film opportunity was in Splash with John Candy, which put Hanks on everyone's radar. Some of his early roles included comedies like The Burbs and Money Pit. However, I'd consider his break to be, well, Big, this role was both a critical and box office success. With an Academy Award nomination, Tom Hanks emerged as one of the best. The 90s saw Tom's career really pick up. He started off with hits like the rom-com Sleepless in Seattle and the drama Philadelphia, both award-worthy performances. But then, the icon,
Run, Forrest, run!
Forrest Gump, a true career-defining role and a phenomenal movie. Lots of awards and a staple in Tom's career. He's also done films like You've Got Mail, That Thing You Do, and The Green Mile. Apollo 13, getting into sci-fi a bit. I mean, Hanks has range. Saving Private Ryan was also a major film in the 90s, just for the film industry in general, and Tom Hanks was a part of this. Now, I'm a Disney fan, so obviously, I gotta bring up the fact that Tom Hanks is the voice of a character that started the Pixar empire.
You are a toy!
4 or 5 movies and lots of shorts and stuff. I think he was in all the shorts as well. His brother replaced him in Kingdom Hearts 3, so if it's not actually Tom, his brother is a decent stand-in at least. But yeah, Woody and Buzz, true icons of the Disney empire, and literally some of Pixar's best work. But from one animation to another, it's not Christmas to me without hearing Tom Hanks voice every character in the Polar Express.
Why, to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express.
My generation had it the best, man. Pajama party movie time with Polar Express was a staple at my elementary school, literally as soon as that movie came out. Even now, it's become a favorite amongst my family. It's one of my grandma's favorites. She'll watch it a few times a year. I like to watch it as close to Christmas as possible. It just maximizes my Christmas spirit. Of course, always pausing at the hot chocolate part to get the essential beverage. Everything I love about Christmas is in this movie, and Tom Hanks being Santa himself is a significant aspect of this. Anyways, so getting into this century, clearly Tom Hanks is more than an established actor and a name and voice everyone knows. He was in films such as The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Charlie Wilson's War, Terminal, Road to Perdition, Castaway, and Catch Me If You Can. More nominations and awards. This guy has been on fire and has not slowed down, just given one great performance after another. I'd say he slowed down in the 2010s, but not really. He starred in the films Electric City, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, Sully, Bridge of Spies, and Captain Phillips. Cloud Atlas had a crazy ensemble cast that Hanks was a part of. Took me a few times to really get this movie, but I love it for some reason. He portrayed Fred Rogers in the semi-biopic Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Like, what the heck? Tom Hanks was actually portraying his, 16th cousin or something like that. Like, what? He also portrayed Walt Disney himself in Saving Mr. Banks. As for someone who loves that movie and Julie Andrews and Mary Poppins and the Disney history and legacy, I mean, honestly, this was one of my favorite films. He also starred in The Post with Meryl Streep, joining the 2 greatest actors of all time in a movie, finally. I'd say he slowed down in the 2020s, but yeah, no, not really. He's been in Borat, News of the World, Finch, Greyhound, Elvis, Man Called Otto. He was also part of the crazy ensemble casts of Wes Anderson's Asteroid City and The Phoenician Scheme. Tom Hanks still has a lot coming up too, he's in his golden years and he's not retiring anytime soon. Okay, so I've mentioned awards here and there, but this guy, Tom Hanks, is a legend for a reason. He has received 6 Oscar nominations with Big, Saving Private Ryan, Castaway, and Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, winning with Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. Emmys, OMG, so many Emmys. As a producer, he's won Emmys for From Earth to the Moon, Band of Brothers, John Adams, The Pacific, The Game Change, and Olive Kitteridge. Not to mention, there were many nominations for producing, narration, and other small roles and guest appearances. He's been nominated for 9 Golden Globes for Sleepless in Seattle, Saving Private Ryan, Charles Wilson's War, Captain Phillips, and The Post, winning with Big, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, and Castaway. He's got Screen Actor Guild Awards for Forrest Gump and Apollo 13, with other nominations for Saving Private Ryan, Green Mile, Castaway, Captain Phillips, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Oh, and just because, a Tony nomination in 2013 for the play A Lucky Guy. So yeah, accolades speak for themselves. He is a true talent, the pinnacle of acting, and to top it all off, the voice of Christmas for my generation and beyond. Alright, ending off the year with top 5 games of the year. I want to start off by giving shoutouts to games that released that I have not played yet. However, I understand that these titles definitely left their mark. First of all, Clair Obscur, big contender for the Game of the Year at this year's Game Awards. And I only just started, but OMG, I'm ready for that emotional damage. Next shout out, Hollow Knight Silk Song. Congratulations, Hollow Knight fans, you made it. I love the first game, and I already know the second one will be equally enjoyable for me. Lastly, Donkey Kong Bonanza. We all expected the next Mario Odyssey to release with the Switch 2, and in a way, we got one. DK got one heck of a game, the likes in which he hasn't had before. It just looks like so much fun. Now for my top 5 proper, starting with Split Fiction. I can't say there's a Yusuf Faris game I dislike. It Takes Two is literally one of my favorite games of all time. I thought Split Fiction was a solid follow-up to this, with the clash of genres working well, especially through the side story sequences. The final boss sequence also just blew my mind. While I may be a little biased towards It Takes Two, Split Fiction was still amazing, and I can't imagine where the game studio goes from here. Date Everything. A game made by voice actors, fully voiced by even more awesome voice actors. Ray Chase, Robbie Daymond, the creators, to start. Matt Mercer, Laura Bailey, Travis Billingham, Liam O'Brien, Marisha Ray, Ashley Johnson, Ashley Birch, Brennan Lee Mulligan, Amy Carrero, Max Middleton, Neil Newbin, Ben Diskin, Ben Starr, Felicia Day, Troy Baker, Dante Bosco, Gray Delisle, just to name a few. The character designs are the real star though. The art team was incredible. The dialogue is also just a good time. I mean, it's a bit of a niche game, but dang, it's a good time. It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, and it'll make you fall in love with the random objects in your house. Mario Kart World. The Switch 2 is here, guys. Mario Kart was quite the launch title. I always praise Nintendo for their innovative abilities, and that certainly continues as Mario Kart World changed the game. Now I'm more of your standard racetrack girly, but the potential for chaos in this game has no bounds. You're in those roads between tracks, and it's a lawless land. Multiplayer, especially online, gonna give you the sweats. Also, that Rainbow Road? That's not a race, that's an experience. Next, Blueprints. Technically, not a game I've played, but my mom... It's the only video game she's ever actually played outside of Golf with Friends. This game made my mom a gamer. I've sat on the couch and helped her here and there, and I know enough to know that this game provides hours of gameplay. If you're into puzzles, get cozy, get snacks, call in sick to work. You're in for a treat. And finally, Sims 4 Businesses and Hobbies. Yeah. For a game that has too many DLCs, I did just list one of said DLCs as Game of the Year. And I'm not ashamed. You know, hey, the business system was also expanded through the Getaway system and the Adventure Awaits DLC, and it was just a total game changer. Like, the buyout is not going to distract me from the great content that we got this year. I'm sorry. But the customization of public lots just nuked all of our imaginations, and it actually works with minimal bugs, at least for me. Simmers were begging for fairies for like 10 years, but the ailments kind of ruined that pack for a lot of people. Like, it could have been a game pack, but they had to make it an expansion pack, and that messed fairies up. But businesses and hobbies, I think that's going to end up being up there with cottage living as one of the best packs. We'll see next time James Turner does one of those community votes videos. But yeah, I'm sorry. Sims 4 is still my main hoe. Don't hate me. I'm sorry. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The MCU may have forgotten them, but I never will. Season 1. First of all, I just want to say this first season has an extra level of nostalgia for me. Avengers was the first MCU film I saw in theaters. When the show premiered, I was already catching up with Phase 1, and this show was a huge reason I became a huge fan of the MCU. Hashtag Coulson lives. I was there from day 0. The connection between the show and Winter Soldier blew my mind. And when I got the season 1 DVD, and when I got season 1 on DVD, I watched it back to back 5 times. 5 times. So, season 1 is still highly regarded as one of my favorite seasons, despite it being so slowly paced enough for fans to rage quit halfway through. When I rewatched the season recently, I was honestly surprised how many lines I could quote. I just have too much fun with this season and would only skip maybe a few episodes. I went from my Black Widow phase to my Agent May phase. Just wanted to be her so bad. Fitzsimmons, my OTP. A huge source of all of my mental illnesses. The Grant Ward twist, for me specifically, equaled that to the Bucky reveal in Winter Soldier. Like, that was a huge turning point in the show. Like, it really was.
We are not agents of nothing. We are agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that still carries weight.
At the end of the day, this started off as Coulson's show. He's the heart of the series. Clark Gregg is a huge comfort character you love to see. His resurrection process was well written and had some interesting implications over the next couple of seasons. Overall, first season is so important to me for many reasons in a way I don't think anyone else will understand. Seasons 2 and 3, they just blend together for me, and I always forget what happens until I'm actually watching it. We get some new recruits in season 2, my boy Mac, my boy Hunter, and Bobby, who I think is just a little overrated. I don't know, maybe I'm just a hater. Fitzsimmons is separated, so I really just want to skip to the part where Daisy becomes Quake. Really unfortunate that we get this at the cost of Trip. He was a real homie. Girl in the flower dress. She was a well-executed antagonist in season 1, but the way they turned her into a porcupine, oh, that was legendary. Oh my god. Also legendary, Agent May. The May versus May fight lives in my mind rent-free. We also got Cavalry backstory, also legendary. Good episode. We meet Skye's parents this season, her whole origin story, her inhuman roots, her inhuman powers. Like, we really waste time in the first half to get to the second half, which is where the real plot is. I also never brought up Deathlock at all. Core character in season 1. When he showed up in season 2, that was one of the 2 times I literally fell off the couch to the floor and started crying. I think when that episode released, I was on binge 3 or 4 out of 5 with that season 1 DVD, so yeah, it was still pretty fresh. Season 3, I think a lot of time is wasted on all these inhuman outbreak nonsense or whatever. Like, Simmons is on another planet, y'all. Let's focus on what matters. I read a lot of theories by comic book fans trying to figure out where Simmons was. That amazing episode, Simmons Alone, really sent the fans on a spiral. A huge theory was that she was on the planet Ego. So, I knew everything about Ego before watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Fitz dove through a hole in the universe to find Simmons. The moment their hands connected, I think about it every day. They had their first kiss this season, which that was the second time I fell off the couch to the floor and started crying. Fitzsimmons is not just the root of my mental illnesses. Fitzsimmons is my mental illness. One thing I hate about this season is how they're really shoving the Daisy Johnson in her face. Major comic book character, BFFs with Fury, I think was once a director of S.H.I.E.L.D. If anyone from the show was to be featured in post-Endgame MCU, it would be Daisy Johnson. They've already had some opportunities, but she is still nowhere to be seen. But good for you, Chloe. You're a badass comic book character. Also, I hate how they made Bobby and Lincoln's departure such a big deal because I think we're supposed to get a spinoff that never happened. Like, they didn't have to leave, bro. Best part of the season, other than Fitzsimmons, who carries the show anyways, freaking Hive. They just don't want to say goodbye to Brett Dalton, and I don't either. Brett in the nude, covered in honey as the villain Hive is still brought up by me and my sister, like, on a weekly basis. We refuse to forget that moment in cinematic history. Season 4. I Am Deceased. One of the greatest seasons of a show I have ever watched ever. Split into 2.5 parts. Part 1, Mother effin' Gabriel Luna as Mother effin' Robbie Reyes as Mother effin' Ghost Rider. OMFG! Just that first episode! I'm about to fall out of my chair again. Fell in love with Robbie instantly. He's literally one of my husbands. We are living together in The Sims, and I've followed Gabriel Luna's career with that mid-Terminator movie and The Last of Us. Super proud of him. Ghost Rider was also seen as a character in that Marvel fighting game that was announced recently and has gotten a lot of hype. But of course, I saw that jacket and immediately knew it was Robbie Reyes. I feel like I'm the only one who noticed. Oh, we are introduced to the Darkhold this season. Yeah. I'll admit, I was genuinely disappointed when the Darkhold was featured in WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness. Like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just ended and the MCU was already actively trying to keep the show in its grave. Like, not cool, man. This part of the season is just so action-packed and fun. All the while, the LMD arc is brewing in the background. John Hannah as Dr. Radcliffe was a great addition as a season regular. The whole battle against the LMDs was also epic, but not as epic as the framework. I love alternate dimension episodes, but we got like a whole freaking arc. Ward is back, Trip is back, Evil Fitz isn't real, he can't hurt you, but he totally can. I have chills just thinking about this season. When they get out of the framework, the battle of the LMDs continues, so action-packed as well, but really escalated when Ghost Rider shows up using Marvel Sparkle Circle to teleport to their location. Marvel Sparkle Circle! That should have been a third time I fell to the floor crying because that's what I want to do right now. Season 4 was peak Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was also still part of the era where we thought the show was at least somehow canon to the MCU. It was great. Great time to be alive. Season 5, it's all downhill from here. I'm supposed to be excited when they go to space, but it just feels like a personal attack thinking they were only sent to the future so the team could not be around for the Infinity War. This is the season where the MCU canon is lost. and I really felt that more after Infinity War and Endgame were over and done with. The space time heist was great on its own, but then they come back to Earth, they try to kill Fitz, they try to kill Coulson again, like even the Coulson lives premise is taken away. When they get back from space, I literally will watch the Fitzsimmons wedding and the Fitzsimmons tribute episode, and then jump to season 7. Like, you'll never get me to watch season 6 or the rest of season 5 ever again. Deke and Enoch ended up being the only watchable parts anyways. I was really falling out of my enjoyment for the show at this point. I mean, seriously. They really had to get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. off-world because you just know Fitzsimmons would have invented time travel before Tony Stark if they had to. And they kinda did. Season 6, don't even want to talk about season 6. There's a great Fitzsimmons tribute episode, and that's that. The whole season is a waste of time. I felt that while watching it, and I feel like I'm wasting time talking about it now. So, season 7. Now, I'll admit, while I loved the characters, I was just about ready to leave the show as season 7 was premiering. I was ready for the end. I'm glad they got to do a time heist since gods know they wouldn't be around for the Endgame time heist. What was it even for? Like, I really did not follow the plot. Like, Fitz wasn't around. Like, can we just wrap it up, you know? Agent Sousa, though. Guilty pleasure of the season. I did watch Agent Carter, and I did like his character, and he ended up falling in love with Daisy? Not on my bingo card. Their ship name is like Dooza, Doozy, like, they're low-key cute, and he got to go to space. Deke was left behind in the 80s, probably the best ending to his wild-ass arc. A man out of time, forever and always. He literally made the last few seasons watchable. The time loop episode is objectively one of the best episodes of the series, so will not feel bad returning to the season just for this episode. And in the end, I think all the characters had a solid ending that made sense to their arcs, which is always hard to master for some shows. Fitzsimmons lived their happily ever after, the end, and that's all I care about. Overall, seasons 1 and 4 hold special places in my heart. Coulson, May, Ward, Fitzsimmons, characters I treasure dearly. Fitzsimmons especially is the ship that has never made me more insane, like no other fictional couple gets me like Fitzsimmons does. Now, I'm a retired MCU fan, but a future Fitzsimmons cameo or Gabriel Luna's Robbie Reyes, or just any indication that this show is real, I may consider a trip to the theaters.
That's it for this week. Be sure to follow this podcast and please follow my Twitter and blog at Hollis Films to follow my journey experiencing the entertainment industry's greatest stories. And let me know what you've been fangirling over this week. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you again next week.